Good morning, folks. It is Saturday, the 6th day of January. Hey, Make Mistakes is here. Good morning. And or good afternoon if you're, for those who may be tuned in yet from the other side of the pond, or somewhere in Europe or wherever else you may happen to be. I'm a bit disorganized this morning, and I don't like being disorganized, but what the heck, it's a jam. So I ended up starting from what we finished up with last night, and but this morning the only part of that I really liked was the bass line. So we're gonna roll with that bass line again, and I came up with a new drone, and I'm not sure I like it yet, but it's at least got some motion going on and some interesting stuff. So the idea originally today was that Wabbit Wabbit and I are getting ready for Snowmageddon. So is Luke up to the north. I think he says they're getting it tomorrow. We're supposed to get hit today. And so crazy fun winter weekend. But anyway, so the original idea for today, I thought I might do a track from scratch. Nano, how are you? Several species of small animals gathered together in a cavern, grooving with a pict. So this several species is a Baltimore-based Pink Floyd tribute band. And so this is one of their shirts. I'm friends with the fellow who was their bass player for a number of years, and I still go out to see them. Although, sorry guys, in several species, but I think the best Pink Floyd tribute band at this point is Brett Floyd, and they. If you ever get a chance to see, if you're a Pink Floyd fan and you ever get a chance to see Brett Floyd, it is probably, I won't say probably, it is the closest, hey Jeff, it is the closest to an actual Pink Floyd show you will ever get, and in a lot of ways, it's better. I've been to Pink Floyd shows back in the day, and I'll tell you what, Brit Floyd puts on a show. Several Species does a great job too, but Brit Floyd, I think, is the ultimate Pink Floyd experience. And so make sure you get a chance to see them at some point in your life. Be careful, though. There is a less scrupulous promoter out there promoting another band called Brit Floyd. There's some legal wranglings about that going on. But if you can see the real Brit Floyd, that's kind of an odd thing, a real cover of a real cover band. But anyway, or tribute band. Morning, Raider. Raider Rich is here. Good morning. Again, kind of a digression based on the shirt, but yes, I have always been a Pink Floyd fan. My early immersion in music was the likes of Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, and all that kind of stuff has gone together to make up my music areas of musical interest. And it's only been in the past few years that I've really come back to the thing that really got me interested in music to begin with, which was synthesizer music. So before Pink Floyd, before getting into Pink Floyd and Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and all that kind of stuff, I was into I listened to classical and jazz, and that led to listening to Wendy Carlos and other early electronic musicians, and that's when I kind of said, I want to do that. Now, I'm nowhere near as good a musician as far as playing music is concerned. So and I've kind of gravitated over the last 3 years into a kind of ambient, space ambient with Berlin school underpinnings kind of area of interest, and that's what I've been building out my studio to make. In a really happy place with that at this point. So what I'm doing during Jamuary, the whole thing of Jamuary this year, some of you have already heard this, but for folks who might be joining later, catching this in sometime down the road, my entire purpose is to learn to use the tools that I now have amassed, and I've got some great tools, to be able to compose and perform this kind of music live. So that's where I'm headed with this. My thought is that for a performance kind of scenario, there would be a series of things that I would be able to orchestrate that have already been pre-produced, like the bass loop that you hear, the pads, some of the other kind of underpinnings, and then I would play and manipulate over top of that in a real-time scenario. So that's what I'm working towards. That's what we're going to play with today. I don't know how long we're going to go. I've been trying to limit the weeknight streams to about a half an hour. I've allotted up to an hour for today's. Hey, Luke is here. Great stream this morning, Luke. I did, unfortunately, was not able to watch so much, but I was listening through pretty much the whole thing until I jumped off to push the play button here. And I was just saying, you're looking for Snowmageddon tomorrow. I'm expecting it sometime today, supposedly. So we'll be trapped in our studios, which what could be better? Let it snow. I used to hate snow, but let it snow, I get trapped in the room. Once I finish shoveling the snow. So anyway, it's about enough of my messing around or running my mouth for a moment. I'm going to unleash some horrible loops on you. We'll go through and maybe I'll show a little bit of process today. How I was going to hook up a third camera so we could see better or on these on the Take 5 and the PolyBrute, but I could not get it to work this morning for some reason. So, we'll get it. Maybe tomorrow I'll have the third camera working and we can look more closely at those guys. New EP, GerenM, let it snow. Yeah, as far as songs go, Let It Snow is not one of my favorites. But, what the heck, the Let It Snow tour, which is me sitting here at this desk. So, anyway, I'm going to unleash some horrible loops. Maybe we'll fix them, and maybe we'll get some interesting music, or I'll get completely frustrated today and just turn the whole thing off. So, anyway, let's go. Let's see what's going to happen. Thought I was in one key. Turns out I'm in another. Oh well, off we go. catch up with the chat a little bit. Thank you guys. Glad you're enjoying the extra jazzy. Sounded cool though. Oh yes, so I thought that I had set this up to follow up Luke in D Dorian again, but it turns out I got something out of whack there somewhere. So the B flat becomes an important note in my playing today. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but you know, hey, back and forth between that and that. Can be some fun. My machine's about to crash. There's a stream audio cutting out. I don't know. Let me see about that. If you guys are having, I don't have the back end up handy. I can never get that to work quite right when I'm switching from one stream to watching one stream and moving to another. Let me see if I can get that up on the computer here real quick and see what YouTube is saying about my stream. There's not a whole lot I can do about it usually, so I just roll. Let's see here, my channel, and let's go to this gizmo and go to this gizmo and go to the management and click on this, and yeah, it's telling me I have a poor connection today. Yeah, I'm seeing although I have a good upload rate, the cache is at 44%, so YouTube is not receiving enough to maintain smooth streaming. So sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, I may end up having. It's a good thing I'm recording this. I may end up having to upload the recorded version. Unfortunately, that means we'll lose the chat responses, but I don't think I can do that. Sorry about that, guys. I guess the impending weather is gonna mess up Comcast for me today. Either that or Donna's got something going on in the other room. She often has a live stream or a live chat on Saturday mornings as well. So that may be what's going on. We may be just pushing too hard here in the Comcast world. That's kind of a bummer. All right, well, hopefully we'll do better tomorrow. Let's see, the bass work. The bass work is not me. I can't claim credit for that. It is, let's see, let me get that moved over here and push on that and push on that. And so that's coming out of a series of Stepic sequences. And so I'm not afraid to set stuff up in a sequencer and let it roll. The thing I did do was I threw in some randomness here and there. Some notes will or won't play, and some notes will be chosen at random from the scale. Now I have the scale. I have the scale set to D natural minor. And I thought I had set that to, that explained some of this oddness last night too, because I was playing live D Dorian and the sequences were in D minor. Well, hey, that's the fun. Yeah, Wabbit, that's yeah. I'd rather have a better quality product up there and online, and lose the chat. Although it'll look a little weird when I'm talking and people won't know what I'm talking to, so I'll have to put a disclaimer on there. No big deal. You know, it is what it is. It's live. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate you hanging, even though the quality's better or not what it could be. Although it looks like when I go to a static, more static thing, I get the data rate drops down and everything smooths out. Jeff, so yeah, you say that the sequencer is still me. I'm a firm believer in hitting the random button as a starting point with Stepic. Stepic actually on its own can come up with some really musical stuff. I'm pretty impressed with it, and yeah, then I go in and fine tune, you know, but Stepic, I do a lot of, I let a lot of Stepic stuff just kind of go out the door almost as it is. It's that much, it's that good. And then, you know, I'd arrange it. So I've got, like you see, I've got 4 different sequences, or 4 different presets within this sequence in Stepic, and it's stepping through them. Some of them it plays a couple of times, some of them it plays once. So it's, to push something to make it come out. Yeah, Wabbit, I pushed the random button. But I appreciate it. Thank you for, and a lot of that had to do, the sound I did sort of design. This started as a patch in, what am I using here? Something in Komplete. One of the other goals for, I'll just modular icons in Komplete. One of the other goals of Jamuary for me is I bought the new keyboard controller, the new Native Instruments S49 Mark III, Control S49 Mark III. I waited to buy this one for 2 reasons. One of the reasons is that it, and the bigger reason actually, is it has polyphonic aftertouch, and I love polyphonic aftertouch. It just lets me I have so much expressive fun when I've got poly aftertouch going. It's especially with a synth patch that's it's well set up for it. So that was one reason. The other reason I waited to buy it, it incorporates their latest NKS technology, and so with the latest NKS technology, I've got a lot more direct control over the individual synths directly from the keyboard. Excuse me. So if, for instance, I show that we've got this is what's up on the screen, which is the plug-in, and I could drive that with a mouse or the trackpad easily enough. But with the new version of the controller, I have this going on. So you can see on this big screen, I have the primary controls of the plug-in right here, right at my fingertips, and I can actually even go in and edit presets. If I hit the edit button, there's a certain number of more parameters are available to me. Now, this being a Play Series instrument, that's much more limited to what I can do. If I move over to, let's say, FM8, and I apologize, it's a little bright, but I have 17 pages of parameters that I can use and have directly at my fingertips. More here on the keyboard than are actually easily available to me on the desktop app. So that was a huge reason for waiting to buy this over the Mark II. It also integrates much more easily into the Ableton Live environment than the Mark I, especially, which I do have, and even the Mark II. This just just dropped in and started working. I didn't have to do anything as far as tweaking the setup is concerned. So definitely been Definitely been a great addition to the studio, and it's really energized me for getting into being able to do the performative things that I wanted to do. Make a Kickstarter for a hardware version of Stepic. I would love Nano to have a hardware version of Stepic. That said, and I don't know all of the features of it. Luke can probably fill in here. You didn't miss much, Luke. I was just kind of gushing again about the Kontrol S, S Mark III, and some little bits of that. But Nano kind of posited the idea of a hardware version of Stepic, and I kind of think, in a lot of ways, that Metropolis, the Metropolis gets there. From what I'm seeing of you doing it. Now, you've only got a fixed number of steps, or a smaller maximum number of steps per sequence, I think. I've got up to 16 per preset in a sequence, and 16 presets within a sequence in Stepic. I'm trying to remember all those numbers. I don't know how far you can push that within the Metropolis, but some of the other things that Luke's just starting to get into with the Metropolis is the idea of being able to modulate the root using another sequencer, and you can sort of do that with Stepic, although not as easily. You have to do some convoluted MIDI routing within your DAW to push another sequencer to be the MIDI input for the track that Stepic is on. It can be done. I mean, it's just a matter of the convoluted way in which you set up all the sequences. I guess the other thing you could do is, since you can drive Stepic's key changes from the keyboard, you could just set up a sequence in a clip in clips in Ableton, and use follow actions to move through those in a way that makes sense. But But yeah, hardware version of Stepic would be fun if you could do all the things. There's some other things though that I would be more interested in seeing a hardware version of, I think. Actually, they're out there too. There's a really, I don't know if I can find it or not. There's a really, there's a really interesting reactor plug-in. Let me see if I've got it handy. Let me go over to another track here, and I'll show you what I'm poking through. So let me switch over to the computer, and let's get that out of the way. And we'll come to this track because it's not doing anything. No, well, let's add a new track. Be safer. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. So let's see, right now this is set to being an internal. No, I do need to add a new. No, I don't. Okay, let's see. Let's go here. We'll delete this. Hey, some behind the scenes stuff. That's always fun. So let's put in a control. I think I can do this through, sort of through, where is it, native instruments, do complete control. If not, I'll just load up Reactor, but I think I can do this way. Oh, don't put that in the wrong spot. Okay, good. All right, so here's a cool thing I'll show real quick too. Let me jump back to the control. So obviously I can go through this and find whatever synths I want, but I can also do it right here on the keyboard, which you couldn't really do cleanly before. So if I run down here and find Reactor, and let's see if the thing that I want is. This may take too long to find, and I may say to heck with it, but so let's see the Vector. Oh, yeah, Vector. That's an interesting device. I'm reading as I'm. Oh, that looks cool. I wonder what that sounds like. Ooh, let's see what we got here. Wasn't what I was looking for, but it's making noise as we go. So let's solo this. Let's get rid of all this other stuff real quick. Can't do that. Let me manually just mute this stuff out. Hear what this thing is up to. Ooh, is Andy here? He'd like this. This is not the drone kind of thing that I was looking for, but does it respond to notes? How do I have this set up? No, it just makes the noise that it makes. But that's kind of cool, though. I wonder if there's other things I can do with it. Ooh, I got controls. So you can see sort of it's a little bright, unfortunately. Apparently I have a sequence playing somewhere, too, that's driving this. I shouldn't, but I do. Stop all the rest of the stuff that's going on. What can I do with this? Oh, this is interesting. Fun stuff. See, and this was part of the purpose of Jamuary this year for me, was to learn more about the tools that I've paid for that have basically been languishing in the box. So yeah, so I can vary the filter amount, changes the spectral makeup of the sound, and I'm doing this from the. I'm not with the mouse. I'm doing this from the keyboard or from the controls on the S49. Get that out of the way, and you can see as I'm doing, it's manipulating the controls in real time, which is kind of cool. But this is not what I was looking for, so let me see if I can find the one that I was looking for. I may have it stuck over here in favorites. Or it may not even be on this. It may not even be on this computer yet. I was playing with it on another machine. Yeah, no. Okay, so we're just going to go back to the DAW, and we'll put this low in the mix. And unmute that, press play, bring everything back. That actually kind of works kind of well in there. Nice. So yeah, discovered something new. So that's fun. So that's fun. So let's see. Battleship sequencers are sometimes just better replaced with a DAW. So yeah, and Jeff, that's a good point. So Vector is really neat. It's a neat sequencer. I saw it and played with it a little bit at KnobCon, and was really jazzed by it. But I had in my mind when I was looking at stuff at KnobCon that I did not want to do things where if I'm performing I have a computer on stage. I've had a real phobia about that for a long time. But I think that if I get things locked down in the studio to the point where they're pretty much bulletproof in the studio, I could move it to a stage if I wanted to. And so I have less and less concern about using a computer on stage as things go on. And the other thing that helped me to get over that was performing with the Korg Kronos for a few years. The Kronos is basically a PC running Linux, a slightly customized version of Linux with a series of plugins in a proprietary DAW. And that DAW has 16 MIDI tracks and 16 audio tracks, and the whole thing runs on it's essentially a PC. And so with the with 3 years of that gigging 2 to 3 times a month, and it being rock solid every night, and then having 2 iPads on stage also that were primarily for control function, but having the computers, our whole show had a lot of different computer components built into the show, and everything just worked. There was never any glitch there was computer-based stuff in the show from the very beginning. So 6 years of performing with the band Seven Souls, everything had some component of computer involved, and nothing ever failed. So it took actually doing that to get me over the mindset of I can use a computer on stage, and it is a good thing. And so I think if I hone things here in the studio, if I do decide I want to start taking a show on the road as far as electronic music is concerned, a hybrid setup is going to be the way to go. So there's a huge amount of flexibility. Now, one thing that's interesting too, I've been playing with the Polyend Tracker, and it's got a DAW-like interface from the 80s or 90s when the trackers were king, so to speak. But the user interface or the layout of a tracker is actually very much like Ableton Live, and so it's kind of a metaphor now that I think I understand now how that can work on stage. I had lots of confusion about that. So now that I see that, there's a lot less fear. Rich brings up the Windows versus Mac kind of thing a little bit. He says, upgrading to Windows 11, my DAWs break a lot. So I'm running on Windows 11 on this computer. This computer came with Windows 11. I have another laptop, a lesser laptop that I do a lot of pre-work on or just kind of fool around with. It's my day-to-day laptop. It's a very low-spec machine, and I run Ableton on it as well, and I haven't had a problem. I think a lot of it has to do with that machine also came with Windows 11 on it. I think some of it has to do with whether you do an upgrade or a clean install of Windows, or the machine comes with Windows 11. Other things that I think are important too are plenty of processor. The little machine out that I carry around, my walk around machine, it's only a Ryzen 3, 16 gig of RAM, and not enough hard drive space on the primary hard drive. It actually does actually have 2 hard drives in it. They're both SSDs. This machine here is that we're using here. It's a 13th generation Intel i9 13900K, which is the high powered mobile processor. It's got 16 gigs of RAM and a terabyte hard drive. Now the place where I went low spec on this one and kind of regret it is I've got the Intel Iris graphics, and until somewhere in version 10 or into 11 somewhere, Ableton with Live did not make very much GPU usage. It turns out that in newer versions of Ableton Live, they are using more GPU than they used to. Now, it's still not for audio generation, but they're leaning more on the GPU for drawing stuff on the screen, and beyond just the basic, low-level stuff that's easy for an Iris graphics, inbuilt Iris graphics engine to do. So yeah, Rich says he did do an upgrade over fresh install. If I do not record my jams right away, I have the risk of losing my work the next day. So I do live in fear of turning the system off and having things not come back the same way that I left them. And I don't know, it's not that I lose things, but there seem to be magical changes that happen. And I will say that's not just with Windows 11. I had that with Windows 10. I had that before I switched to Live when I was using Studio One. I'd set everything up, I'd save everything, make sure I went into each individual soft synth and save its settings. I'd save the patches on the hardware, and stuff just would not be the same after a shutdown. So I do live in fear of that. And one thing, Rich, just to know, not all VSTs, when you save the project in Ableton Live, for instance, or Bitwig or whatever, not all VST settings are saved. So if you've got a particular patch that you got to have it saved the same way, make sure you save that preset separately within the VST. And as Luke says, state saving is key. And so, and as save often, save a lot. And especially if it's something that's important. Your music is crushing GPU, said no one ever. No, not at this point. But what Ableton is, it seems like what they're doing is they're offloading more and more fancy display stuff to the GPU so that they can free up CPU for audio processing. There are plugins now. There is a project, the GPU Audio project, that I was following for a while. I think it's got potential, but I think it's going to be a long time before they've got anything other than a good reverb. Lose the ability to open plugin windows and such. So, Rich, that sounds like you're running into a memory problem. Where you're running into, I don't know how much memory is in your machine, but I did find that even though the folks at Ableton say that 8 gigabytes of RAM is good, with 4 as a minimum, still, I wouldn't do any less than 16 and 32 if you can do it. That's what it sounds like to me if you're not able to open up, because I did have that happen with the little machine. I built a performance in Ableton using that machine. I had a Dawson Novum instance running in it and 3 or 4 other things, and everything sounded great. Worked well. This was before I had upgraded memory in that machine. And so everything sounded great, everything worked well. I saved all the patches, saved the project, the whole thing. Went to open it up later, and it just wouldn't open. Went down to my old studio machine, which has 16 gig of RAM, and it opened right up just fine. Otherwise, processor is pretty good. You got 64 gig, that should be plenty. And yes, 16 is the minimum that I would do, despite the fact that Ableton do say 8 gig is minimum. It does work. GPU audio is Snake Oil. At this point it is, Luke, I agree. I will say the convolution reverb that they're doing in GPU audio sounds amazing, but I don't know that anyone's going to hear the difference between that and, say, Convolution Audio Pro that's in Ableton Live Suite. And yeah, if you've got 64 gig, like Lou says, it's not a memory issue. Something else you're hitting the wall on something else. Streaming software might. OBS can be a hog. Editing, if you've got video editing or other audio editing software. Yeah, I don't know, Rich. Don't know what to say. There's for me, Windows 11 has been solid, but again, none of the machines have been a Windows 11 upgrade. That have Windows 11 on them have been an upgrade. They've actually come with Windows 11 pre-installed. The other thing is, let's see, the one machine, the low spec machine, is running Windows 11 Home. This one is running, let's see. This one's running Windows 11 Pro. And I would say Pro is better if you can get it. Find out what's wrong in February, making jams now. There you go. Use what you got. And if you know you've got if you know that you've got what your limits are at this point, work within your limits. I've kind of set an artificial limit with what I'm working on right now. I don't want more than 8 tracks. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is I think it starts to get... I've always felt that more tracks just add complication and add for the possibility of things to go wrong, things to get lost. I like things a lot simpler, so I usually don't have any more tracks in a project than I absolutely need. One of the other reasons that I'm sticking with 8 tracks for this, for right now anyway, is because I can show 8 tracks in the main display. So I've got Podolsky here, that's running my pad. This is an external instrument running the PolyBrute. WaveState is now running that reactor drone that we found. I had been controlling a WaveState with that. This track is controlling the Take 5 as an external instrument. My 2 loops are up next, the bass loop and then my mic. And so I've got basically the channels that I'm using for performance are right here at my fingertips when I jump into the DAW screen. And then, as I'm moving through, I can jump over to the plugin screen, which doesn't have anything on it right now because I'm not in that. I don't have a plugin. I'm not on a track for a plugin that's actually tied into that. If I move into, let's see there, and go to plugin mode, now I've got Reactor's control up, so whatever I need to do, it's all right here. It becomes very easy to get to, and so that was another reason for the limit. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it concise, and easy to control, and I think that makes for better sound, better performance, and it also doesn't it doesn't hit the CPU that hard. I'm running this whole thing with but I guess it's five active Native Instruments plugins going, and actually one's a UHE. I'm running at 25, 26, 27% of CPU tops. That's with and I'm processing all of the audio through live. All the mix is happening in live. I do know. So, Rich, you're saying no? Don't worry about it, Rich. No worries. I find that VCV Rack does want a fair chunk of processor. I've not looked closely at it, and again, this is I've not fooled a lot with VCV Rack on this new computer, the laptop we're using here. On my old studio PC, which was a Ryzen 5 processor, I found that VCV Rack wanted a lot of processor, especially when I tried using it as a plug-in. So that if you're using a lot of that, that may have something to do with it. It may not. I don't know how well it works as a plug-in, and I'm not familiar with voltage modular. I haven't fooled with that. I will also say that there are a couple of modular reactor-based and contact-based synths within the native environment, and they want a lot of processing. So that may be playing into your issue as well. But yeah, the other thing too, like you say, if you can do it, you can record those tracks, bring them into the DAW, play over them or play with them, and I think eight tracks is plenty for a decent jam. I mean, I've been having this past week, it's been an eight track world, and the eighth track is my microphone. So really, only a maximum of 7 tracks of instruments. I haven't done a drum rack in this thing yet. Doesn't mean I won't. Oh, one of the birds just got excited. Jeff says Cardinal seems to run better on his machine. I've not played with that one either. And Luke said something I wanted to swing back to. Spreading GPU across 16 tracks of audio. Says so the thing with GPU processors, at least in the NVIDIA world, and I guess to some extent the AMD world, the graphics processors are in a lot of ways more flexible as far as to how you can spit data around within them. They have many more cores that can work on a lot of different things simultaneously. So they're doing complex math. I mean, that's all they do is they're building. They're playing with triangles all the time. Almost everything is a triangle to a GPU, and so when you go from to that kind of math level and say, okay, we're not going to play with triangles, we're just going to play with just ones and zeros, it becomes relatively easy for a GPU to do that kind of work. That's why GPU cards had actually been so popular with the cryptocurrency miners. Most of those cryptocurrency mining systems don't run on the CPU except to launch the stuff. The main CPU is just a director, and all the processing is being done, and all the mining is being done at very high speed on GPU cards, which is part of the reason beyond chip shortage was part of the reason we couldn't get GPU cards for a number of years, because all these people were buying up all the GPUs they could to build crypto mining machines. And what was sad about that was the producers of the graphics cards, NVIDIA and AMD, they were building cards for games because they thought everyone was going to want games, and they had slacked off on production of their more, I'll say, business-oriented GPU card series, which can do the crypto mining just fine. But they were in very short supply, so everyone bought so the crypto miners bought all the gaming things and standard graphics use GPUs that we wanted, and did that. So anyway, that's my rant on graphics cards and crypto mining. At least the top level, high level version of it. I don't want to get deep in that weed because it makes me angry. So there's so anyway, but that brings me back to a GPU is really an incredibly a GPU card is really a computer unto itself, and it's very, very good at handling a lot of simultaneous tasks. Audio would be relatively simple for it, so spreading 16 tracks of audio out across a GPU card to play with should be relatively light work for the GPU. The trick is telling the computer, or a trick is telling the computer that the GPU is not doing graphics, but in fact it's doing something different. So that's so I get where they're going from a systems level standpoint. It's going to be a while before it becomes mainstream, and that's that. I don't. I'll probably be done playing with music by the time it really takes hold. Of course, that means my having said that is that it will be out next year and it'll be full force and it'll be awesome. But turn my cryptos back into euros. Good for you, Rich. I never Roar so angry. I never had a good feeling about crypto. And again, gets me off into non-musical territory. So yeah, that's why GTX 1080 was $800 5 years after release. You can't even get a 1660. Still can't get a 1660, and it's what, a 5-year-old card now. But you can get 1650s. So it's graphics cards are crazy. I didn't notice this myself the last time I was in Micro Center, but somebody posted a shot from Micro Center taken a couple days ago. The cheapest 1000 series graphics card they could find, NVIDIA graphics card, was $2,000. And that is insane. That is absolutely insane. But yeah, and Rich, that's another thing. The data mining, I mean, the energy cost in data mining it's incredible. I don't see how you actually make any money doing that. It seems like a lost proposition to me. So anyway, that's I don't want to rant anymore on crypto. It's Wabbit says let it crypto. XTP. So I've got what? Let It Snow and Let It Crypto are my EPs. I'll have to make sure I make a note of that. So when I lose the chat, when I upload the better thing, because we're glitching again, I can tell. I'm actually now I have I can't show it to you, but where can I? No, I don't have a way to put the thing up to stream. I have I use a Blackmagic Design switcher just to do the camera switching, and it gives me a multi-image display that shows the cameras and program preview and all that kind of. I still store, and it does actually. I'm now seeing it does have a display that shows me my data rate, my time on air, and the cache percentage coming back from YouTube. And then it also shows me I'm also recording this to an SD card, to a thumb drive directly from the from the switcher, and it shows me how much time I've got left and what my recording quality is. And the recording quality is full HD, doing very well. So I guess I'll be uploading this after the. I wonder if there's a thing I can replace video in YouTube. I have to look at that. Anyway, and I get my my audio levels and all that kind of stuff up on the display, so I know actually know pretty well what's going on. I tried OBS about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was an absolutely unmitigated disaster. I've got clients using OBS, and every time I turn around, there's something wrong with it, and it's something I don't want to get into. So anyway, I think I've ranted for long enough for the moment. I'm going to play a few minutes of music and then probably wind this down. I've gone a little longer than I wanted to, but we're having fun. So one day I will ask you things about that ATM. I'm not sure what you're asking about or talking about, Rich. Local recording of thumb drive. Yes, local recording is very nice. Worked, lost money, stopped. I'm not going to reading back through the thing. GTX. Okay, so I'm caught up. So I'm going to play some music again, and we'll do that for a few minutes, and then I'll probably wind down. So let's hear some noise. I think that's, since we're having bad streaming going on here, I'm looking at, again, that cache is jumping up to a huge percentage, so I'm sure it's choppy as heck out there. Let me go ahead and do something that cuts down on the, well, I don't really have anything interesting to show that cuts down on the data rate. So, I guess because of the issues, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Thanks, folks, for coming by. I enjoyed it immensely on the fun end and the playing end. Again, apologize, although I'm not sure. Oh, it's snowing too. I'm going to have to go shovel the driveway pretty soon. Snowmageddon is coming upon us. I'm not pleased about. I am and am not pleased about that. So I'll start working on the Let It Snow and the on the jams. I'll actually take a look too at what YouTube is actually able to piece back together from this real quick before I decide if I'm going to re-upload and lose the chat or what. So anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Jeff and Luke and Rich. I know he's run away. Nano, thanks for being here. Wabbit, get ready for the storm in the down south of me, ma'am. Be safe. Everyone be safe. Everyone be good. Looking to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. That's pretty much it. So we'll catch you. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Back at again at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you liked what I did today, whack the like button. If you haven't subscribed and would like to see more of these shenanigans, then go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get hit that notification bell, and you'll get notifications anytime I upload something or go live. And then the other thing is, hit my website. There's all kinds of crazy stuff there. That's GerenM.net, and there's a link there on the YouTube profile somewhere to that, and other places you can find me. So I'm not sure how much snow has fallen. It is coming down. It's probably only just a little bit at this point. So we'll see. Otherwise, it is approaching lunchtime, as Luke says. Especially since, well, I know Luke had an early morning. He was up to catch Andy's stream. I wanted to. I set an alarm. It went off. I said, I'll just lay here 5 minutes more, and the next thing I knew, it was 7:30, 7:45. So, unfortunately, had to miss Andy's stream yet again. I feel badly about that, but I'll catch that on the flip-flop. See y'all, guys. Once again, have a great Saturday. Be safe. Make some music. I can't wait to see your jams for the day, if you're doing Jamuary. And otherwise, see ya in the AM.